The story begins by explaining a unique tradition among rich people in Japan. When they get married, they give special gifts like violins made from a rare type of wood called red sandalwood. This isn't just about the marriage, but about the wood itself. Red sandalwood is very rare and super expensive. A tiny piece of it can cost a fortune, and it's often smuggled from faraway places in India. The story isn't really about the wood, though. It's about a worker who is part of a smuggling group for this special wood. One day, this worker is driving a truck filled with red sandalwood. But to hide it, the wood is covered with tomatoes. Meanwhile, the police are chasing the truck, trying to catch him. At one point, the worker stops the truck and tries to bribe the police to let him go. At first, the police refuse to take the money. When that doesn't work, the worker becomes aggressive and tries to fight them. Still, the police refuse his money because they're honest officers who won't take bribes. They arrest him and take him to the station. On the way, the worker makes a final offer. He says he'll pay 1 lakh, which is a huge amount of money for each officer if they let him go. After some time, the officers finally agree. Soon, the worker's friends arrive with the money. He pays the officers as promised, and they let him go. When the officers ask his name, he simply says Pushpa. Pushpa was a worker in a factory owned by a group that smuggled red sandalwood. Pushpa was strong-willed and didn't like being bossed around. Even when the factory owner came by, Pushpa just sat with one leg up, acting like he didn't care. This attitude caught the attention of a new worker, Kesva, who decided to quit the factory and follow Pushpa instead. After leaving the factory, Pushpa joined a team of loggers who cut down red sandalwood trees, and Kesva followed him everywhere. When they reached the forest where the trees grew, they didn't start cutting right away. Instead, they performed a small ritual for good luck. While they were getting ready, a guard warned them that police cars were coming. Everyone panicked and wanted to run, but Pushpa stood tall and didn't budge. He showed his leadership by coming up with a bold plan and getting everyone to work together. Soon after, Govinda, the strict and scary police chief, arrived at the scene. He didn't take small bribes and was known for being tough. He was there because the factory owner hadn't paid the monthly bribe. Govinda wanted to seize all the red sandalwood, but Pushpa stayed calm, even when Govinda pointed a gun at him. The police couldn't find any of the wood, so they had no reason to arrest anyone. After the police left, it was revealed that Pushpa had cleverly hidden the wood by tying it high up in the trees. Once the coast was clear, the workers brought the wood down and gave it to their boss, only to get paid very little for their dangerous work. But Govinda wasn't done. He came back with more officers, leading to chaos as the workers tried to fight back. In the middle of the commotion, Pushpa managed to drive away with a truck full of red sandalwood. After a long chase, Pushpa finally surrendered, but the truck and the wood had disappeared. At the police station, Pushpa was questioned about where he had hidden the truck and the wood. Instead of being scared, he just laughed and even asked for a glass of water. The police realized that using force wouldn't break Pushpa's spirit. So, one officer from Pushpa's village tried a different approach. He brought up Pushpa's past, revealing that Pushpa was born to a mother without a husband, and because of that, he didn't have a family name. Because of that, Pushpa was taken to meet the powerful Reddy brothers, a family involved in smuggling red sandalwood. The youngest brother, Jolly, was a troublemaker who often bullied girls in the village. The middle brother, Jacka, was smart and made sure their business ran smoothly. The oldest brother, Kanda, was the most dangerous. He was known for being cruel and wouldn't think twice about hurting anyone who got in his way. When Pushpa met Jolly and Jacka, he confidently asked for 5 lakh if they wanted the hidden red sandalwood. Pushpa wasn't scared of them at all, which surprised the brothers. They agreed to pay him. It turned out that Pushpa had hidden the truck in a deep well. After getting the money, Jolly insulted Pushpa by throwing some extra cash at him for a ride home, refusing to let Pushpa sit in his car. Pushpa didn't let it bother him. Instead, he used the money to buy the same fancy car and proudly drove his mom around the village. Pushpa even went to meet Kanda, the oldest brother, and impressed him with a smart idea. Pushpa suggested they hide the red sandalwood in milk trucks. The wood would be placed underneath, and the trucks could easily pass police checkpoints. The plan worked. Pushpa himself drove one of the trucks, delivering milk to a temple, where he met Shrivalli, a beautiful girl and the daughter of another worker. Pushpa fell in love with her at first sight. Soon, hundreds of logs of red sandalwood made it past the police. But instead of taking them straight to the port, the wood was handed over to Mangalam Srinivas, the only person who had connections at the port. Mangalam was in charge of selling the wood and was very secretive and strict. However, Pushpa and the others discovered something strange. One of Mangalam's trusted men had been stealing money. This revealed just how ruthless Mangalam could be, as he dealt with the betrayal in a frightening way. Shortly after, Pushpa went to one of Jolly's storage warehouses, where Jolly often did terrible things to innocent girls. When Pushpa saw a girl locked up there, he couldn't stand it. He quickly freed her just as Jolly arrived. At that moment, Khanda called with urgent news. The police were on their way to the warehouse. If they found the red sandalwood, Mangalam would be furious and disappointed with everyone. Khanda asked Pushpa to figure out a way to stop this from happening. With his quick thinking, Pushpa came up with a plan. He told Kesva to take a bag full of money and head to the dam. Meanwhile, Pushpa cut the ropes holding the wood, letting it fall into the river and float away. It was a bold move, but it worked. Pushpa had Kesva bribe the dam workers to close the water gates, so the wood stayed in place. Once again, Govinda and his officers were outsmarted. With no evidence to take back, they had to leave empty-handed. A few days later, after the wood had been smuggled and everyone made a lot of money, Pushpa was invited to a party thrown by Mangalam. While at the party, Pushpa overheard Mangalam's workers talking about how the wood was sold at the port for billions of rupees. Pushpa realized that Mangalam was making way more money than the workers, who risked their lives cutting and smuggling the wood. Feeling upset, Pushpa told Khanda about this unfairness. Surprisingly, Khanda wasn't shocked or angry. He calmly told Pushpa that he already knew. It was no secret that Mangalam was the one who made the most profit in the business. At that time, everyone in the smuggling group had agreed that Mangalam would be in charge of selling the red sandalwood. The next day, Pushpa went to Mangalam's house. Mangalam was on a call with someone important, and it's the leader of the smuggling ring, who happened to be a government official. This official, who was supposed to help people and protect the law, was secretly helping the smugglers. No wonder Mangalam's illegal activities were going so smoothly, because they had someone powerful on their side. When Pushpa arrived, Mangalam was in the middle of something terrible. He suspected a young man had betrayed him, so he had his brother-in-law, Mogal, deal with him. Mogal was known for keeping a razor blade in his mouth, and he used it to scare people. The young man was punished in front of everyone. Mangalam and his gang thought Pushpa would be scared after seeing this. But they were wrong. Pushpa had come with a bold announcement. He told them that the price of red sandalwood was going up. Instead of 500 million rupees per ton, it would now cost 1 billion rupees. Everyone, including Mangalam, was shocked. Pushpa also warned that if Mangalam didn't agree, he would sell the wood directly to the buyers at the port. This made Mangalam furious, but Pushpa didn't stop there. He even borrowed Mangalam's phone and called Murugani, the buyer at the port. Pushpa told Murugani about the high-quality wood he had and offered to sell it directly. That was the final straw from Mangalam. He ordered his men to attack Pushpa, but Pushpa fought them off easily. Later that night, Pushpa went to the port to meet Murugani in person. He gave him a sample of the best red sandalwood, and Murugani was impressed. He agreed to buy all the wood from Pushpa. Once the deal was made, Pushpa called Khanda and told him the big news. From now on, they would sell directly to the port buyers, cutting Mangalam out of the deal. Khanda and Jacka were upset at first, but when they heard the new price is 1 billion rupees per ton, they were speechless. Then, Khanda decided to drop Mangalam and follow Pushpa's plan instead. On the other hand, Jolly was very angry because 2 people had told the police about their warehouse. He was scolding them harshly. One of them, an older man, explained he did it because the police promised him money to help pay for his daughter's wedding. When Jolly heard about the man's daughter, he suddenly had an idea. He said he'd forgive the man if the daughter agreed to marry him. The daughter turned out to be Shrivalli, the girl Pushpa loved. Shrivalli felt pressured to agree to the marriage. But before going to Jolly, she put on her wedding dress and went to Pushpa's house. She explained everything to him. Pushpa became very upset and went to confront Jolly. He stood up for Shivali and told Jolly that what he was doing was wrong. Jolly realized he couldn't win the argument and didn't say anything to his brothers, Khanda and Jaka, because he didn't want them to know about it. The next day, Pushpa and Khanda went to the city to collect money from their sales, which was stored at a jewelry shop. While they were away, Kesva, who was at home, heard from a neighbor that someone saw Pushpa arguing with Jolly. Kesva quickly called Pushpa to warn him. But Khanda already knew and wasn't happy about what had happened. Khanda captured Pushpa and wanted to punish him. But just in time, Mogile and his team showed up. They were sent by Mangalam, who didn't trust the Reddy brothers anymore. In the confusion, Pushpa managed to free himself and fought back bravely. Kesva then arrived on his motorcycle to help Pushpa escape. In the end, Pushpa decided to stop the fighting and make peace. He convinced everyone to work together and focus on solving their problems instead of creating more. The story ended with Pushpa showing that being brave, smart, and kind can help fix even the biggest problems. The next day, at Khanda Reddy's funeral, all the members of the smuggling group gathered. Mangalam arrived last, along with their leader, Rajner, who was also a respected government official. Pushpa, being clever, convinced everyone that he only hurt Mogile to take revenge for Khanda Reddy's death. Pushpa's story made sense, and he even started to point out how unfair Mangalam had been, taking too much profit for himself. And Rajner, wanting to seem fair, started siding with Pushpa. Pushpa promised Rajner bigger profits than ever before. In no time, Mangalam was removed from his position, and Pushpa was made in charge of selling the wood. This quickly made Pushpa a powerful and respected figure in the business. Meanwhile, Mangalam faced his own troubles. His wife, who was Mogile's sister, almost harmed him using Mogile's methods. Mangalam's life took a turn for the worse, while Pushpa continued to rise. As time passed, Pushpa became the boss and earned the respect of everyone. But then, Govinda, the head police officer, retired. His replacement was Bungver Singh, a brutal and arrogant officer who was even tougher than the criminals he dealt with. When Pushpa first met Bungver, he tried to give him the usual monthly bribe. But Bungver wasn't like the others. He handcuffed Pushpa, accusing him of bribery. Bungver didn't just want money cause he also wanted respect and control. He made it clear that he wouldn't be ordered around and that from now on, he would decide how much Pushpa had to pay every month. Pushpa started acting very kind toward Bungver. He gave him gifts, money, and whatever else Bungver asked for. Even on the night of his wedding to Shivali, Pushpa left his own celebration to meet Bungver on a hilltop. It seemed like they might become allies. But Pushpa had a plan. He didn't want to be controlled by anyone. All the kindness he showed to Bungver was just to get close enough to humiliate him. In the end, Pushpa succeeded in embarrassing Bungver, who returned home feeling defeated. Meanwhile, Pushpa made it back to his wedding and celebrated with everyone. On the other hand, Bungver, furious, burned all the money Pushpa had given him, setting the stage for a fierce rivalry between the two. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is don't hide your secrets under tomatoes, cause smart cops and Pushpa always find a way. And remember, if you want respect, maybe don't bribe people who hate bribes.